Thanks for staying with us. South Africa's sixth democratic parliament has seen growth in young people as representing their respective parties as members of parliament. But how much of an influence will they have in terms of influencing policy to tackle issues facing the youth? To speak about using their roles as young MPs to change the narrative is the ANC's Bavelile Hlongwa, who's also Deputy Minister for Mineral Resources and Energy, as well as the DA Sibongiseni Ngcobo, who's a member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance. We had invited someone from the EFF to join us, but so far no one has been able to be part of this discussion, but we'll continue with the representatives Bavelile Hlongwa from the ANC as well as Sibongiseni from the Democratic Alliance. Thank you to you both for joining us. Bavelile, very good afternoon to you. Let's start with you. Young person, not only are you in Parliament, but you're also Deputy Minister. How have you settled into the role?
I think we hit the ground running. It's been quite a hectic past month, and I think because we've not been in government before as young people, we thought once a person has been appointed and it's out in the news, people are fine. But actually setting up government takes about a month, and it's a marathon exercise. But one has picked up a lot. We're concluding the exercise. We're reviewing APP's annual performance plans now for departments from the side of the executive, which I think is the last step of setting up. Then from there going forward, it's all work. But there's not been an ignorance from society that people have been, elections are over and government's supposed to...
It's time to get to work.
Yes, and people have their issues already set out for us. And there's been complaints here and there, issues to say, no, assist here, information, this and that. There's already been quite a lot that's been going on from the side of the people who do not know what is it that you do in the, in the background to kind of set up. But we also have had the SONA debate, and I think we've not been too chaotic. We were fine. I don't know whether the presence of young people has caused a bit of stability in the behavior there, but it's been quite a busy month with a lot of things. We've settled in. We are ready to hit the ground.
Okay, let's bring Sibongiseni joining us via Skype. And Sibongiseni, you are in the opposition benches, also quite young. Have you found the halls of Parliament and the National Assembly itself to be a place that is welcoming of young people such as yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I think that I've found Parliament to be a very exciting environment, given the fact that you now have a responsibility or an opportunity to get to decide on the future of this country and participate in the discussions that are aimed at specifically outlining the direction that this country should be taking. I mean, just a week ago, we had the president delivering his State of the Nation address and trying to tackle the issues that young people are facing. But we don't think that the president has done an enough job in making sure that young people are getting a sense of hope. Because as we speak, we have over 50% of young people across the country who are unemployed. And the president hasn't delivered a concrete plan that will have brought hope to those young people that are without a job. So I think that is going to be very interesting and an exciting 5 year. And I think that as a Democratic Alliance, we are really an alternative, and we'll be able to put an alternative plan on the table that will help alleviate unemployment in this country.
Okay, let me come back to you, Bavelile. And, Sibongiseni speaks of the pertinent issue of unemployment in this country. Majority of the people sitting without jobs at this moment are young people in South Africa. The likes of yourselves, young people, still very much in the minority, though, in the House. That's the reality. How much of an influence do you have on policy as young people? Your voice, how loud is it reverberating, I suppose?
Look, you're right that the number of young people in Parliament is quite small. Actually, the total across the parties is 89. And look, when you look at the numbers inside Parliament, the worry will be that it will not be a resounding voice. But what I have at least seen or assessed across, because you as young people in politics will know each other and each other's influences, I think we have quite a good distribution of strong voices. But I think we also have an opportunity of having support of young people that are not in parliament. And I think issues of young people have been elevated loud enough from outside. We just need, even if the voice is smaller from within, already there's enough messaging around challenges of young people. Look, the State of the Nation address addressed some of the important issues that will assist us create jobs, because the country does not have an abundance of jobs where you can actually take people in. You need to create jobs so that you'll be able to employ. And that job creation from our side is that young people must be allowed to be job creators. And I like the fact that the president, when he did his State of the Nation address, emphasized on the point. Even when he did the response, he did emphasize that young people have been clear in saying that they want to create those jobs, so that you don't have a huge group of the 54% of young people who are unemployed, who are also just looking for jobs. Some amongst them must be working on plans to say, how do we create jobs? And that's where government comes in.
All right. And I want to come back to you then, Sibongiseni, and I see you've got company there, but if you could just stay with us just a while longer. And I want to pick up on a point that Bavelile made about just the spread of strong youth voices in Parliament, and ask you the question of the potential for collaboration across parties. Does that exist among the young people?
Yes, I think it does exist, and it's very, very important that we go beyond political parties and try to bridge that gap between different political parties. I mean, even in corridors, we meet other young parliamentarians, and we have a chat about a wide range of issues, including unemployment, drug, poverty, and inequality in South Africa, especially the challenges that young people are facing. So I think it's very, very important. I mean, we as a Democratic Alliance, youth or young people, we also proposed a youth caucus where young people will get together and discuss issues that are affecting young people. But I think that the most important thing is that the president should have provided concrete reforms. For instance, we have been saying that we should scrap the NYDA because it's not doing the job that it was created to do. We should scrap the NYDA and make sure that we channel the funding that go into NYDA into the creation of Khuphuka centers that will provide business opportunities and help young people start up businesses, and by giving them small business startup grants. So these are concrete reforms that we're expecting to hear from the president.
But Velile, are these concrete reforms going to come from the president's generation, or do we have to wait for your generation to eventually reach the office of the presidency?
I think let's start with some of the things that will assist to focus on the issues of young people. From the side of the ANC Youth League and the youth in Parliament, one of the things that we want to revive is what we used to call Youth Parliament, and give it a focus on issues of young people and thoroughly deal with the issues of young people. A multi-party youth parliament. But it will always be the best thing that each and every party has a youth caucus, so that all the issues, because the range of issues, runs from political issues, political management issues within parties, but also issues of young people, which are developmental. So when you fit to that parliament must take a posture of being an oversight body on issues of youth development. You see, the NYDA in this country has done most work on youth development, and it has the least of budgets. When a person says, take the money from the NYDA and go and build centers, the NYDA has 36 offices as we speak today. That has done without asking for a further budget. We've asked for a further budget for a grants program which assists in job creation. And that particular grants program produced per year about 20,000 jobs. But it's a small amount that you have that you must distribute across so many young people. But there are other programs that government has invested in, and that parliament can assist us to then now say, okay, what do you do? How much have we given you? And what has been the feedback? And where can we tweak to make things work? And I will advise that our fellow honorable members in parliament particularly young one, get very close to what the NYDA does, so that they understand. Because when you try to fix things that are not broken, you'll have a problem. NYDA is doing an excellent job on grants and job creation, on jobs and skills, and it's also doing a lot of work on health and wellness and nation building. And this requires that all of us as young people, we come close, understand it, then expand the work that is being done there. And for me, maybe it's not a bad idea for us as young people to actually get that NYDA to come as the first item, if we ever agree on the issue of the Youth Parliament, to come and take us through on what is it that it has been doing.
So, Sibongiseni Bavelile says the issue isn't what's existing, but what needs to happen then is the strengthening of what is already in place. And that brings us to, I suppose, the point around how eventually, in order to succeed, we're going to need, as a country, to move beyond the political party lines and the political posturing.
Yes, absolutely. But I think that we are in crisis. I mean, having over 50%, over half of young South Africans not having a job, it should be a humanitarian crisis. And to deal with that crisis, you will need to have concrete reforms. You will need to have concrete reforms to our state-owned enterprises, because we need to stop pumping billions of rand year in, year out into ever-failing Eskom. That money could have been used to build centers that will help young people. A young person who lives in Bula, a deep rural area in Mangwaneni, doesn't have access to the internet. He doesn't know what is going on, what jobs are available in the job market. So we need reforms such as this one to make sure that we allow everyone an opportunity to succeed in life. Now, you can't succeed. We are not going to be able to alleviate job or unemployment amongst young people in South Africa if we do not prioritize well and know the programs that will help us get young people move forward.
Okay, for instance, let me ask you this question, because we're almost out of time. What is the one issue, one policy issue that you are going to be tackling most during your term in Parliament, that you want at the end of your time for us to reflect on and say, this is where Sibongiseni has done well as an MP?
I think it will be unemployment. In the coming weeks, we'll be tabling a Jobs Act in the party, and we hope that other political parties in the National Assembly will get to accept it, and it will be adopted. It will go a long way in creating job opportunities for young people, and also for the 9.5 million unemployed South Africans across the country. So I think it will be the issue number one is unemployment.
Bavelile, you're already Deputy Minister in a Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. What are you going to be doing there that we can reflect on at the end of your term and say, Bavelile has touched this and it's changed? I can
already tell you that young people's issues, women issues, people living with disability issues are already on the radar. But I will also say one of the things that will need to happen is we'll need to fund youth development. We can't just say young people need to do it for themselves, but we are unable to channel resources. And one of the things that we need to explore together with the fellow young MPs and the MPs in general is to see how private sector can come on board, because fiscus-wise we are unable to fund. I've been a deputy chairperson of the NYDA. I know how it's like to ask for money from government and don't get it. But you need then to say what else can be done. One of the monies that we should be looking into, that we should probably start lobbying a private sector about, is what we call corporate social investment. Just 50% to treasure, and let the NYDA use that for youth development, and also reach out to women, reach out to people living with disabilities, so that at least you are able to say you've invested and be able to get something out of it. I can assure you, I'm not theorizing when I say NYDA is doing work. As we speak today, they are about 74,000 young people, 74,000 young people that have been skilled on jobs and placements. You know, there's quite a lot of work that has gone down that you can actually expand if you are able to fund. And those are some of the discussions that we should hold with opposition parties in Parliament to say, should we make it a law? Or should we kind of, rework certain legislations to allow for that to happen?
And more conversation we will have, but we are sadly out of time for today. Bavelile Hlongwa, thank you so much for your time. And Sibongiseni Ngcobo joining us via Skype, thank you as well for joining us this afternoon.